Are you ready to vote in the May 19th primary election? It's kind of an important one, and you can find election information from the League of Women Voters of Portland at vote411.org and at lwvpdx.org. They have explanations of ballot measures, candidate information, video interviews, and even a podcast. Your vote is your voice. Make it count. Visit vote411.org and lwvpdx.org to inform your vote.
This is Your City Could Be Better, because it could be. I'm David Plotz. If you love your city and still complain about it, you're in the right place. Can you remember the last time you were out until 4 a.m.? I cannot. Maybe it was with some crying, desperate to sleep baby decades ago. Maybe it was in college. But even people like me who are early bird specials know that among us, we have night owls. There are people who don't get started until midnight, people who can keep going and going and going. And Philadelphia has an experiment this summer to serve those night owls, to delight those night owls. It's going to allow bars to stay open until 4 a.m. in June and July to accommodate the crowds of people, the surging crowds of people expected in the city of brotherly love for the World Cup games there and for the semi-quincentennial, the celebration of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. So today on Your City Could Be Better, would your city be better if it allowed really late nights and more partying? CityCast Philly host Trenae Nari, welcome to Your City Could Be Better. When was the last time you were out until 4 a.m.?
David, thank you so much for having me. The last time I was out at 4 a.m., the year was 2010. The city was New York. I was single, no kids, 20-something. And my friends from Philly, they actually came down to visit. And I took them to a restaurant, a Jamaican restaurant in Manhattan. And we just danced the night away. Afterwards, I ran to an ice cream truck because I needed something on my stomach. I know it's like, ice cream, what? And I know for sure we saw the sunrise at 6 a.m. when we crawled out of the subway back to my apartment. Can I do that nowadays? Absolutely not.
But like, it's so memorable for you. It was like a night. It was an amazing night for you. Okay. Yes. All right. So maybe that's going to happen for thousands of people in Philadelphia. So what time are bars in Philadelphia open till right now?
So the latest ones stay open till 2 a.m., right? And there are a few after-hour clubs sprinkled in various parts of the city that might stay open after. But generally speaking, the last call is around 1:30. And then it's kind of like, you don't have to stay here, but you got to get out.
And so the law says they've got to shut down at 2.
Yes.
And does the city, like if you walk around downtown Philly or to, cool neighborhoods in Philly now, you probably don't know this because it sounds like you're like me, you go to bed at 10 or something. But in what time does the city kind of shut down? Is it really going till 2 on Fridays and Saturdays or not really? It really shuts down earlier.
It depends on what we're talking about. So kitchens at the restaurants close around 10 p.m. and then the bars are like 2. If you go to like a neighborhood bar around the corner from your house, they might close around midnight or even 11. But yeah, generally speaking, I would say the nightlife that does exist, it's definitely 2 a.m.
And so do people feel like Philly is a good place to party?
It's just different. It's different from since the pandemic. I mean, we've struggled just to get like businesses popping during the day. And the nightlife kind of went along with it. Some places that, we used to party in the clubs we used to go to, they just don't exist anymore. They never came back after the pandemic. There were a lot of concerns about safety over the years. And then we got to talk about those food options. A lot of the Wawas are gone. The big Wawas, they're gone. And so
you say Wawa like everyone knows what you're talking about. Just explain what Wawa.
Oh,
Wawa is what I would call a 7-Eleven.
Or it's like
a 20.
It's a 24-hour place. You can get gas. You can get some hoagies. You can get anything you might need to sustain yourself after 4 a.m. And I just want to highlight Philly's got a nighttime mayor, Raheem Manning. So he's the city's director of nighttime economy. And so the city has been working on so many different like creative ways to kind of get things like jump started again.
So tell us a little bit about what's happening. So in June and July, bars will be allowed to stay open until 4. All bars, the whole city. What's going to happen there?
So Philly bars, restaurants, and hotels, they can extend their closing times from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. So this is happening between June 11th and July 20th. But they have to apply for a Philadelphia 250 permit from the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board. Owners and managers have to also attend training sessions in person. And the application was $500, and that was all due April 14th. So if you didn't do it, it's too late. The other part of this, like I said, is the training. And to be approved, bars need to be up to date with their taxes. They have to be good standing with all city regulatory agencies, right? So license and inspections, the public health department, basically have your paperwork done. But these trainings, they are actually calling this the Liberty Bell Safe Certification Program. And the trainings consist of conflict resolution, sexual harassment, DEI, active shooter awareness, human trafficking, crowd management, exit and dispersal planning, exterior safety monitoring, and health code compliance.
It does sound quite elaborate. It also sounds like probably a pretty good idea, probably pretty useful to have that training anyway.
Yeah, totally.
So what are the main reasons why Philadelphia decided to do this? Who pushed it? How did it become a thing?
David, this actually was a bipartisan bill signed by our Pennsylvania Governor, Josh Shapiro. And if you know anything about Pennsylvania politics, you know that our lawmakers do not agree on many things, but they did recognize that tourism has been down in recent years. And so there are so many big bets on these big events this year. So the projections are that, increased tourism, more dollars flowing through our economy. And like I said, the bill was bipartisan, no-brainer to help businesses capitalize off this moment. And this actually wasn't the first time that Harrisburg granted us this extension. Back in 2016, when Philly hosted the Democratic National Convention, these establishments were allowed to stay open until 4 a.m., but you had to have hosted an official DNC event. So it's going to be interesting. Some bars are choosing not to apply. They don't see how this summer is going to just magically change their lives financially. And some question even if all this effort is even worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it would just be 2 extra hours. It's not a huge difference. I mean,
Right.
You can already stay open until 2. And so this was not the city itself. This was the state had to change the law for this.
Right, because our liquor laws are connected to the state.
But it's just for Philly. It's not for the whole state.
No, just for Philly at this time. Mm-hmm.
And what is it that's happening in Philly that makes this 4 a.m. close make sense? Is it, for example, if you're coming to see the Liberty Bell, it wouldn't have thought it would matter whether you could go out till 2 or 4. I don't think your
Totally.
history buffs are not 4 a.m. people. I wouldn't have thought. Maybe they are.
Totally. So the idea was that these extended hours would get folks to get a few more extra hours, like the shift workers, get more money flowing into our neighborhoods, not just Center City. And because we're going to get an influx of tourists, the idea is that folks need to be able to watch all of the games of the FIFA World Cup. And so, some of the games actually are going to start as late as midnight.
Right.
And so the idea is keep folks at the bars, keep them, keep them with the cold beers, keep them cheering. And a lot of our visitors from around the world, internationally, their culture is to, start the party at midnight, at 1 a.m. And so keep the bars open is sort of the idea.
When the unexpected happens, a serious injury, a catastrophic crash, or even a wrongful death, the impact isn't just personal. It can affect families, neighborhoods, and the safety of our entire community. In those moments, you deserve more than legal help. You deserve advocates committed to making Portland safer for everyone. At Diamore Law Group, you're not just getting a lawyer. You're getting a trial team led by veteran attorney Tom Diamore, who has spent over 30 years holding corporations, negligent drivers, and unsafe institutions accountable. From investigating what went wrong to bringing in experts and taking cases all the way to trial, they do the work it takes to protect their clients and prevent the next tragedy. And you don't pay unless they win. Contact Diamore Law Group at 503-222-6333 or visit Diamore Law to schedule a free consultation. They're here to stand up for individuals and for a safer Portland.
So the people who advocate for this and who've supported this, sounds like it's bipartisan support. What is it they say is going to happen? You mentioned more shifts for workers. What else is going to happen? Happier tourists.
Yeah, happier tourists. And also, like right now, our city lawmakers and state lawmakers are courting to get us to get the DNC back in 2028. And so, like, again, it's a big bet to keep these big events coming into the city.
When you and I started talking about this, you mentioned some drawbacks. So what do people say are the drawbacks of keeping bars open till 4? What is the difference between keeping bars open till 4 as opposed to 2? Why is that going to be maybe a problem or not as good as it seems?
Yeah. So, David, you know that Philly complains. And one of the complaints is about transit, right? And as we're recording this, SEPTA has no plan to extend services past 1 a.m. And so there's a deal right now, Airbnb made with the city so that fans can ride the Broad Street line for free after the games. But what about the nighttime crowd after 2 a.m.? A lot of folks say that there's not going to be a lot of public transit. So then you would have to shift over to rideshare. It could be good for rideshare drivers, right? Prices might surge. They might get extra money in their pocket, but they have to stay up until 4, 4:30, 4:45, 5, if you're shipping people to the burbs, South Jersey, or even Delaware.
But what's wrong with that? Like, if the rideshare drivers make some money, the people who've gone to the bars are like, oh, I need to get home, so they're willing to pay for it. They're tourists. They're putting out money to pay for it. That seems fine. Why is that?
Have you ever left a Phillies game, a Flyers game, a Sixers game, an Eagles game? The traffic is horrendous because there's not a lot of options right now with SEPTA.
I have never left any of those games because I would never go to a Philly sports event because I'm a regular, normal person.
Well, the traffic is horrendous, right? And we've got a lot of small neighborhood streets.
But at 4 a.m., the traffic's not going to be horrendous at 4 a.m. It's going to be, they're going to be people. They're going to be some people. It's not going to be thousands and thousands of people who are at the bars at 4 a.m. It's going to be some
Will there
extra
be
people.
Thousands and thousands of people driving, doing rideshare? Those people have to stay up. They might not be night owls. It could be a problem, right? I'm just saying it could be.
Okay, what else? What are the other drawbacks?
Right. I said the Wawas, the food options. A bunch of drunk people don't have a lot of places to eat. There's not that many 24-hour diners anymore. Wawas are gone. There's I can count how many 7-Elevens are around the city. So the question is, if restaurant kitchens normally close around 10 p.m., do we have to keep staff on their feet to feed people, to keep the kitchens open?
I mean, again, I believe in capitalism, and one of the things that capitalism does is that if there's a need, if people are there and they want to buy a burger, someone smart is going to be like, I'm going to stay open so that I can sell people burgers. It seems to me like if it makes sense for restaurants, they will make a bet and they will stay open, and if it doesn't, they won't, and then people will be a little bit hungry, and so be it.
Yeah, I'm also looking into what will food carts and food trucks do? Are they going to be able to be around serving food at 4? I don't know yet.
Any other issues that you see coming up with this?
I mean, like I said, Philly complains a lot, and I know for sure that if people are stumbling into their Airbnbs or into the hotels at 4 a.m., someone's going to complain about the noise.
That is definitely true. Someone will complain about the noise.
Yes.
That for sure will happen.
This is really an experiment on not just the economics of Philly, but also transit, permitting, sanitation, gig economy, residents trying to sleep, and post-event cleanup efforts. Who's cleaning up all the throw up? Who's cleaning up the trash cans? That remains to be seen. And we'll see if this experiment works. I mean, hey, we are the city that started the experiment of democracy. I guess we can see this experiment.
I mean, it seems to me like if I were working for the city of Philadelphia or the state of Pennsylvania, if I were in Mayor Parker's office, I would be like, we're going to make Philly just shine. Everything's going to be awesome. And they're going to have people, the trash crews are going to be working a little bit overtime during this period so that the streets look clean. And the cops are going to be out at night, checking in with your nightmare to make sure that things are secure and there's nothing too rowdy going on with the fans of the Uruguay World Cup team against the fans of the South Korean World Cup team. So I feel like it's a time to shine, and this keeping the bars open later will probably just help a little bit. I bet you don't have any major incidents from it. I think it's going to be looked back on as a success. That's my prediction.
Oh, for sure.
So one thing we like to ask people on Your City Could Be Better is what the lessons are for other cities. So what are the lessons of keeping the bars open late in Philadelphia? I mean, keep in mind, of course, that hasn't happened yet. But what do you think the lessons are for other cities?
For any other city listening, steal this idea from us to support small businesses, support your restaurants, your bar scene, bring life back into the nightlife in your city.
Word on the street is that it's the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, written in Philadelphia, signed in Philadelphia. And Philadelphia, of course, was the place that the United States, in many ways, was born, as you guys remind us. And it's very exciting to think that this country has had 250 years, a great experiment. It's, we've accomplished a lot. But this is happening. This celebration is happening at a time when a lot of people, including a lot of people in Philly, are pretty gloomy about the state of the nation and the state of our democracy. And so I'm curious how you all are managing to celebrate, or how you will manage to celebrate the 250th, the semi-quincentennial, but also not feel that you're serving a Trump narrative, which I think probably a lot of people in Philly don't want to serve.
I don't think a Philadelphian centers their life around any president's agenda. Let's put that out there. We've been celebrating since January. We're hosting these first festivals. So we're celebrating our beautiful city, the first hospital, the first volunteer fire company, the first African Methodist Episcopal congregation, the first authentic Chinese friendship gate.
Do you have a different celebration for each of those? Was there like the first hospital celebration? You did that?
Yeah. Those are different celebrations.
Where was the first hospital? Do you know?
Pennsylvania Hospital, founded by Benjamin Franklin.
He founded everything. I bet he founded the first fire brigade, too. The first volunteer fire brigade, I bet, was Ben Franklin. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, all good. So yeah, sprucing up our streets, preparing to host block parties in our neighborhoods, and a range of art exhibits. We're going to have our annual Adune Day Festival, which celebrates African-American culture in South Philly. We've got Philly Pride Festival along the Parkway, Juneteenth Parade in West Philly, and July 4th concert and fireworks show. It feels so good right now to be a Philadelphian. And of course, we got our sports teams, of course. And so the city overall is just modeling how to highlight the country's history without ignoring the nation's past. And to catch you up, there was an executive order from President Trump to remove mentions of slavery from the President's House, which is an outdoor national historic site over on 6th and Market Streets, where President George Washington lived, and he had 9 enslaved men and women working and living there. And the city not only fought these changes in court, which is still an ongoing legal battle, but now we get to celebrate On a Judge Day, which will be celebrated on May 21st. And this is a commemoration of Judge, who was one of 9 enslaved people living there, working at the President's House, who managed to escape to freedom and was never caught after several attempts were made to bring her back to the Washingtons. So Philly is modeling how we can celebrate America without whitewashing its history and ignoring its cruel past.
That's great. I did not know about On a Judge Day. That's awesome. The story of Washington, I read a little bit about this when I first heard this about the President's House a few months ago. And it's outrageous. It's even more outrageous than just that they had enslaved people living there. It's that he would literally cycle his slaves up from Virginia to Philly and then back down to Virginia. Because if they stayed a certain amount of time, they were eligible to be free. But as long as they didn't stay that long, they couldn't be petitioned for their freedom. And so it was just a very deliberate act on his part, which is depressing. I mean, I think I live in D.C. and of course, we too are going to be one of the centers of the celebration of the semi-quincentennial. And it's being pretty heavily Trumpified. There's going to be a UFC fight, I think, on the White House grounds. There's going to be some kind of car race through the streets of D.C. There also is going to be some cool stuff. There's a very cool sounding state fair. And I am ambivalent because I find that, his version of how to celebrate the country's history is probably not my version of how to celebrate the country's history. And I don't want to be too much part of it. On the other hand, this is a country we all share. It sounds like Philly is striking a good balance there.
Yeah. And I would say, I think Philly just leans into folks who have over the years done a lot of community organizing, folks who are not afraid to speak up. And we've been having these honest conversations from City Hall to North Philly, South Philly, all around town.
Trenae Nuri, host of CityCast Philly, thanks for coming on Your City Could Be Better. You can listen to Trenae every weekday on CityCast Philly.
Thanks, David.
That's all for today's episode of Your City Could Be Better. I'm your host, David Plotz. Our producers were Lizzie Goldsmith, Priyanka Tilve, Trenae Nuri, Abby Fritz, and Matt Katz. Our music is by Carl Christensen. If you are enjoying the show, why not tell your friends, rate the show, leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. We will be back next week for another conversation about how your city could be better. Bye-bye.